Uh, Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have TJ attacker Anna Chau, who just recently committed to Princeton. They describe it something a little bit different than that. But anyway, Anna is a star at TJ, and we're going to talk a little bit about her journey tonight. Anna, nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's talk about going to TJ first. Thomas Jefferson, obviously a magnet school. I think the number one school in the country. Amazing place to go. Anna, where would you have gone to school if you didn't go to TJ? Where were you zoned to?
I'm zoned to Fairfax High School.
Oh, okay, so you're not that far away, I guess. So
Right.
when you go to TJ, um, is it difficult to focus on sports? I mean, you're a top soccer player, top athlete. We hear all about the stresses at TJ and the academic load that you have. Is it difficult to be an athlete at TJ?
I'd say there is some challenge to it. I mean, obviously compared to like just being a student at TJ not playing sports, um, there are some challenges. Like there's a lot of work to do, and um, obviously I think our tests are pretty difficult. But I think that like throughout the years, like a lot of me and like a lot of other athletes at TJ have like learned to manage our time well. And I think that's like part of the TJ experience, being able to get both our work done and also being able to perform like out on the field.
Yeah. Is it a little inconvenient that, like, if you're at a neighborhood school, after practice, it's a shorter ride home? I mean, I guess you don't live that far away in Fairfax, but I'm sure some of your teammates live all over the county and also beyond
Hmm.
because TJ draws some other counties as well. Can
Right.
it be difficult for the athletes to live far away?
Yeah, we actually have a couple of players who are from like Prince William County, so that's maybe an hour away from the school, which is pretty far. I think that they've been able to plan accordingly and whatnot. So I know they have parents who drive them so they can get homework done in the car. And our team often has training and whatnot like later on, like after school. So everyone will get their homework done like together.
Mhm.
So I think that that's something that really like brings our team together. Like everyone's helping each other out with homework. Like some of the upperclassmen can help with, per se, physics homework, chemistry homework, and whatnot, and studying. So
Yeah. Do you think there's some really great students who don't go to TJ because they think maybe not so much for soccer because in soccer club is so important, but like, do you think maybe like football and basketball players don't go to TJ because they're elite athletes and rather be on better teams? Not that TJ is not great. Their basketball team was very good this year, but they might be worried about how competitive their teams are, so they may stay home even though they're great students.
I'd say that there are some athletes who I know were thinking about going to TJ. They weren't sure about the workload or whether or not they wanted to play at another high school because maybe the sport at a base school would be better. But I think that's really up to the person, depending on like how high of a level they want to go to. Um, like per se, I think my I have like some family members who he wanted to go to TJ, but also if you think about like per se tennis at TJ is, I'd say our tennis team has done really, really well for the past who knows how many years. But something like um I think recently, or maybe not so recently, I'm not sure, like we have ups and downs with like field hockey or like baseball, some sports where our teams don't participate as much, but I
Mhm.
think we've gotten better like last year. But they some students may prefer to go to their base schools for that reason. Maybe they want to be in a more competitive environment for that. So it in the end, it's like really up to them.
Yeah. That's right. So I felt like I went to one of your games this year, and you had a big student body presence. It was a playoff game. Do you feel like neighborhood schools are more likely to get supported by the community than a school like TJ, where you have kids from all over, and the neighborhood no longer necessarily goes to TJ. They may go. I think they probably go to Annandale or
Yeah.
maybe other schools nearby. Do you think that could be a disadvantage in that the student body may not be as connected to the teams? I mean, community may not be as connected to the teams.
Um, I think that so since we have students coming from all over the place, that does affect like our attendance at sporting events because there are some students who live, like I said, like an hour away. And so it's hard for them to be able to go to a sporting event and come home at like a reasonable time to be able to get their work done. So I do think that that affects, I guess, the relationship between um, our sports teams and students who may or may not go out to our sporting events.
So all in all, have you been happy with TJ, your decision to go?
Yeah, I think that TJ's been a really great learning environment because I know that going to college, I'm gonna have to be able to compete at a high level on the field, but I'm also gonna have to be able to keep up with my studies. And I think that TJ's been a really great place to really learn how to manage my time and everything.
Yeah. Well, Anna, do you come from an athletic family?
I'd say so. My dad, when he was in high school, he actually went to TJ and he, I think he played on the basketball team and he also played on the tennis team.
Oh,
He might have played soccer as well, but I'm not 100% sure. And then my mom played tennis, so I'd say my parents are pretty competitive.
yeah. So, are your parents intense? There's always a stereotype that certain immigrant families are very tough on their kids when it comes to academics, but they're not as tough when it comes to sports. But it sounds like your father, like you, was very athletic, and so is your family very intense about their sports as well?
Yes,
Mhm.
sometimes I'd say my parents are probably more into my sports and my academics because they know that, or I think that they believe in the fact that I can work on my studies like by myself and they trust that. And so really when they push me, it's what they're seeing out on the soccer field because like seeing the way that I'm performing on a certain day, my ups and downs and everything. So I think also them being athletes in high school, like when they were my age, they've really wanted to push me to be better or the best player that I can be. And it kind of, or there's some sort of reflection on me when they're thinking about, I'm sure they thought about their high school times and they're like, oh, like I could have done this better. And so they just want what's best for me. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm sure my poor son probably thinks that when he played soccer, I kind of, kind of live vicariously, um, through him because there's nothing more exciting than when your kids are competing, in sports. Anna, do you? So my son played for Alexandria club,
Hmm.
um, and when he played, it would be typical for him if there's 18 players on his team, maybe 15
Hmm.
would be Latino, 14, 13 or so. A couple of kids from Africa, and maybe a couple of kids, white kids, or maybe African American kids. And then the girls' team in the same age group would be almost all white girls. It wouldn't be any diversity. It seems that soccer has become more diverse on the girls' side over the
Hmm.
last 10 years. You might not have the best perspective of this because all you know is, you know, who plays, with and against you. But do you seem
Hmm.
like, do you feel also it's getting more diverse on girls and women of all, girls and women of all kinds are competing in soccer now?
Yeah, I think that that's something that's really grown in our community because I play at VDA and my team, our demographics are very diverse. Like we have some people who are Asian, we have like people from all sorts of places, and also at TJ, like we're very diverse as well, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
extremely. I mean, it's extremely
Very.
diverse. Yeah, I took a picture
TJ
of.
might
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
TJ might be a place where like we're probably super duper diverse. We have people from literally everywhere. But so that's like one side, but also over in club, like, yeah, I think that we have a very diverse team. And also I've been at other clubs and I think that they've all been pretty diverse as well.
Yeah, I think it's been a real change in girls soccer that's becoming the diversity that I saw all along in boys. It seems like it's on the women's side. Who was your first role model in soccer?
Ooh. I think when I was really, really young, I would imagine, oh yeah, like Messi, he's really cool.
Yeah,
Like I think that the ball, I mean, everyone sees the ball just sticks to his feet, and I'm just like, wow, like that's someone who I want to be like. So
yeah,
I think that I like to, I'd like to be able to have the ball just stick to my feet all the time, and
yeah.
I love being able to be involved in the game, and so I think that's something that he's done like really well.
Yeah. One player, local player that you remind me of, you remind me of Samantha de Guzman, who's playing for Tech now. I
Mhm.
think she was VDA, but she played at Colgan. And you guys are very similar, the way you handle the ball, the way you move, very, very good off the dribble. And she also, when I asked her that, she also said Messi. When did you know that you were pretty good in soccer? When did you know that you weren't just out there kicking the ball, that, hey, you know what? I'm actually pretty good.
I'd say when I first started out playing soccer, my parents were just like, "Oh, just go enjoy, have fun, find something that you like." I honestly didn't think that I would come this far in soccer. I think that the time when I began to like think about going further than just youth soccer was probably when I was in around third and fourth grade when I guess I left the very first club I was at, FBYC, and I went to Great Falls, which is now I think Great Falls Reston. And the coaches there, when we played against that team for the first time, I thought, oh my gosh, these coaches are so loud because they yelled a lot. And little did I know I ended up joining the team because of them. Um, I felt that they were coaches that would push their players like to their to play their best. And I kind of started realizing that I wanted to be pushed like that. And so I guess that would be around the time when I wanted to um, get serious or especially serious with soccer. And I felt like I could go far.
Yeah. Who are some of the influential coaches that you've had to have made you such a good player?
I'd say so those coaches who um, asked me to play with for their team, their names were Coach Shannon and Dudley. Um, I'd say they kind of really like kicked off my I guess soccer career. Um, they really helped me in a way that I'm pretty short. And so at the time, I was kind of afraid of heading the ball because there are all these super tall players that have like grown so much. And so I'm looking at the ball in the air. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Like I'm a little scared. And so my coach or those coaches taught me to not be afraid of the ball. They would at practice they would punt the ball in the air and make everyone battle for the ball. And so if we didn't, we had to run.
Yeah.
So that was something that they did that really helped me become more aggressive and like unafraid. Um, I've had some other coaches like at Braddock Road. His name is Coach Larry, and he's helped me technically, I'd say, and he kind of encouraged me to show up to practice really early. Like I started showing up to practice maybe half an hour before, and I would like juggle because one of my weaknesses was juggling the ball actually, and I guess my touch wasn't as good as it is now, and so he helped me get better at that, and I went from like 36 juggles to like now I can go forever, and so tech in the technical game that's been really helpful. And now at VDA, I'd say all the coaches that I've had have all had something to offer, and I'm so grateful for that. Like the one that I have now, he's continued to push me, and I can't be more grateful.
Have you been surprised how you've been able to go from a recreation player to a select club player to like VDA academy player? You're playing against some of the best girls in the area and also sometimes the country. Have you been surprised? Have you've been able to meet these challenges and move forward in your game?
Yeah, I think I've been able to. My team, I have so many great teammates, and now that I'm a senior and I was born in 2006, so I'm playing with 2007s now. And so I kind of have a new team, but my last team, which was like the '06 team that I've been with for a while, they're all amazing players, and I think that we've been like family to each other, and so we kind of like playing these amazing other teams, like both in the area and also in the country. Um, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily surprised me because we know that we're a great team and we're going to be competing against great teams. So we're kind of ready for that mentally. And also in training, we all compete with each other so much. So it makes the games a lot easier than the practices.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the challenge of high school? It's very different than club because in club,
Hmm.
the players on your team are on your level. I mean, they all might not be Division I players, but certainly many of them are. In high
Hmm.
school, typically, I mean, there are some really good high school teams here, but you may have a couple of college players on a team, and the rest of the players are good soccer players. Do you enjoy the challenge of high school where you have to do more, you have to have more roles than you would on a club team?
I think I enjoy the competition in high school a lot. I think it's a way to feel part of my school, but also being able to find different ways to solve problems through high school has been really fun for me. Like we played WNL, we've played them I think last year and also the year before, and there are some great players on that team who come from Arlington ECNL, and I think they create challenges for me, which I've enjoyed going against. So
I can imagine you against Danica, who's going to Pitt, is probably a pretty good matchup.
yeah, so Danica, I actually, while I don't know her really personally, she's really good friends with one of my teammates, Josie. Um, and Josie kind of told me about Danica. She's like, "Oh, Danica's, she's good. You should watch out."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, that'll be fun." So we always enjoy playing WNL because a lot of our players come from Arlington on our team, or at least a couple of them do, and so they know who to watch out for, and we all get excited because we're competing against some great players.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into this year, um, you know, obviously I've been running Nova Soccer Source for a while. I didn't
Hmm.
know much about TJ going into this year. I knew your name from the All Met list from last year, and yeah, I know you're a really good player, but I didn't know much about the team. But early on, you had a couple of losses early, but then you beat Hayfield during the season. Hayfield went to the state last year, and then
Hmm.
you had a narrow loss to Madison, 3-2. Madison was an excellent team. Um,
Hmm.
did you know you guys are going to be this good this year?
So my freshman year, we had a lot of freshmen on the varsity team. I think we had maybe six or seven. And so coming into there, we knew we were going to be a strong team. And also, we had some defenders and um, a six who were really helpful. Like, that was the year we won the district tournament,
Mhm.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
And we were worried that losing our seniors would have been a problem because there were six, I think there were six starters that were seniors. So that was a lot. And so the next year we were like, oh no, what might happen? But turns out we were a lot better than we thought we would be. We were worried that, oh, our starters are gone. Now what? But we actually had some defenders that stepped up, which was great for us. And then coming into this past year, we had more seniors who were defenders that left. And so, again, the same question, who was going to step up? And I think that we had some players who were able to go into that role and take their place, and they've done really well this year.
Yeah. Well, talk a little about your coach. He seems like a really good guy. I think his name is Prem Singh. Is that his name?
Yes, Prem. Coach
Yeah.
Prem.
He seems like a very positive guy. A young guy. I like his style. How would you describe his coaching style?
I'd say he's very direct. I think that as a team, we like to we like to just go. We we want to take advantage of like any counterattacks that we can get, and sometimes we do like to build, but I think most of the time we're a little more direct and uh, with our build. I think Prem at our practices and whatnot, I mean, coaching TJ, a lot of the players are like, I have work to do. And so sometimes he'll be pretty lenient with the workloads that we have. And also since the soccer season is during AP week
Oh,
and
yeah.
finals and everything, it's a little bit hard to get the team together. But I think he's done a good job at still working with what we have and whatnot, because we've been able to go pretty far these past few years. So I think what he's been doing has been great.
Yeah, you went to the state quarterfinals this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, other than schedules could be difficult. Are there any particular challenges or benefits to coaching girls that are so smart?
um, I think that we learn really well and we can take information in really well, and we're also open to feedback. And I think that's really important as players to be open to that feedback and growing together.
Mm. Do you ever think people take you guys lightly because you're a bunch of brainiacs? And you,
I I think so. There have been a couple of teams that we've seen kind of think that, oh, we're just a bunch of nerds. It's not going to be that bad. But I think recently that thought has kind of floated away, at least for the soccer team, because I think we've done really, really well these past few years.
well, that's for
So
sure. Yeah. It just occurred to me that I knew the former coaches, Coach Luis and Coach Othman, really well as well. Those are great coaches. Um, well, this year you lost, I believe, districts to Hayfield. You lost in the final.
yes.
Was that a real disappointment losing the districts? Or were you just happy to know you're still advancing to regionals?
We were pretty disappointed in that loss, I think. These past or the time that I've been at TJ so far, us and Hayfield have always been really, really close, like in terms of the outcomes of the games, because I think every single year we would win the game and we would also lose a game to Hayfield. So we've always been really competitive with them. So I think I guess I would consider them as like our rivals, um, because they're in our district. We've been competing with each other a lot. And I guess losing to them this past year did kind of hurt us a little bit. I think that we could have done a little bit better in some of the ways that we played. And I think even though we lost that district game, going into regionals, we couldn't be too discouraged because we have regionals. And I think that going into regionals was like the next big thing. So we kind of had to leave the past in the past and just get on with our business.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a strange season because um, you won the regular season, I believe, right? Right, Anna? But
Yes.
but you advanced far, but you lost districts and you lost regionals, but yet
Hmm.
you're able to advance. It was kind of strange in that you didn't really bring the hardware necessarily home, but you were able to
Hmm.
prolong your season, which is kind of the whole idea is to keep playing. So
Hmm.
I did want to talk to you about South County. Um, I went to watch them play in districts and I thought they were incredible. I'm like, man, this is one of the best teams I've seen all year.
Hmm.
They just seemed so complete. They had quality all around the pitch. They had speed. They have a goalie who I thought looked amazing. So when you were
Hmm.
matched up against them, I'm like, TJ's going to have a hard time against South County. So I didn't go to that game. Tell us about that the South County game.
So going into that game, we knew what was coming. I know some of the players on South County, like Ryan, we used to be teammates, and also Lily Williams.
Mhm.
So coming into that game, I already knew that I wanted to compete because I wanted to make the region finals, especially after losing districts. We really, really wanted to make up for that by getting into the region final. But going into that game, I we had to kind of take a look at some of their games and kind of think about what we were going to do because we knew that South County, they're way like physically way bigger than us, and I think that their style of play, like they move the ball, like for a high school team, I think they move the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to find some ways to work around that.
Yeah.
I think
Go ahead.
I think I might have played a couple of other positions in that game. I think what really drove us was the fact that we were the underdogs in that game for sure. Um, we were all really pumped up. I remember before the game because we really wanted to make it to that region final.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they play like a club team to me. They're very, very skilled and talented and well coached. But what was the key? Why do you, if you had to sum it up, why did you beat them? What was the key that day?
I think that day our team, it was just mentally we were prepared and we it's just that we were all willing to fight for that region final because I feel like soccer, like as much as it is a game where you have to be technically good, you have to be physical and aggressive and everything, it's also a mental game. And I think that really helped everyone step up and go into that game like fighting for that win.
Yeah, well, congratulations again. It's an amazing achievement. That was the game that earned you a berth in the state tournament, something you'll probably never forget. Well, let's talk about
Mhm.
Woodson. Now, Woodson is the most bizarre story ever. I mean, I think their record was like 2-9 or something like that early, or something crazy, and they just went on a roll all the way to the state semis. Big physical team. They have a great center back. They have a high scoring striker. I was at
Mhm.
that game. It was lunacy that game.
Mhm.
How would you describe the Woodson game?
Honestly, we came out or when we lost that game, we were pretty disappointed, but I think that was a game where so first off, the students who came out to the game since earlier we were talking about the community not being able to show up as much, we had a lot of people out there and I thought that that was awesome. Um, but during the game, I mean, Woodson, they've gone through who knows how many games. And again, I think it's just mentally they came in and I guess they really wanted it.
Yeah.
um, they really put up a really great fight in that game, and it was I think it was pretty exciting to be in, even though we didn't um, come out with that win that we wanted. But I do have to applaud them for the work that they put in there and kept the game really close. I think they, I can't remember if they were the ones that scored first or if we did, but I know that no matter what happened, they still responded like really well and kept things pretty challenging for us.
Yeah, you had a great crowd there. I remember they were hey Nova Soccer Stores. They were giving me a hard time. They were really nice folks. Well, the problem with losing to Woodson is that you drew James Madison. Oakton is a really good team.
Mhm.
Really good team. They beat Madison once this year, but James Madison was probably the most talented team that you were going to see. So losing to Woodson puts you facing James Madison, and they beat you pretty soundly. I wasn't there. I think it was either 3 or 4-0.
Mhm.
Tell us about that game.
So in the Woodson game, what really hurt us, I think, was there was a really rough foul with our goalkeeper.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, she's a freshman actually, or she was a freshman. Sarah, she's amazing. I was really glad. I think she was a key player to our team this past year. So I think her and that foul did hurt us in the state tournament. Um, she ended up with a concussion, so that
Oh, sorry.
yeah. And that was actually her base school. So
Oh,
she did
yeah.
really want to play in that game. And I think we had a couple of other injuries, like our sixth, who's been really impactful for our team. She had a hamstring issue, so she also wasn't able to play in that game. So I think that there were these injuries and like tired legs in the postseason really hurt us in that James Madison game. So
Yeah, I would think if you guys couldn't play James Madison full strength, I wouldn't give you much chance because they just have so many weapons and
right.
they're so good everywhere. But you know that's the way. Did you want to add something there?
Uh
Yeah.
yeah, I Madison, I mean, they've I think or maybe for who knows how long, they've had a pretty good team and really good team right now. Um, a lot of their players play in ECNL and I see them a lot on the field. So they're amazing players that I'd like to applaud them for, their hard work. And there are a couple of players that I know who are going off to college this year. And I think that they've done a really great job with Madison's program.
Yeah, they have. That's nice of you to
Hmm.
say. I'm sure they love to hear that. And they're going to have the scoring machine back next year. Hannah, who got hurt early, so
Hmm.
they're going to be really really tough. So when you think about next year, you've already signed. I know they have a funny way. You committed to the application process, as
Right.
they
Yeah.
say in this, as they say in the Ivy League.
Hmm.
Um, but since you have a home, maybe club doesn't have to mean quite as much anymore. Are you excited for another chance in high school, or are you know when you look at a high school season next year, is it just another season for you?
I'm still looking forward to the high school season. I think it would be nice to hopefully win the district tournament and hopefully get as far as possible. Maybe even winning the region tournament, getting back what we lost this past year. Um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And while I do have time or I will be setting aside some time to get ready for college, I think that still high school season is still there, and I'm so psyched to compete there.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to watch you play. Hopefully, you got some great freshmen that signed up for TJ and that'll be able to jump in and jump in and help you right away.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of freshmen that I've already met, so I I'm pretty excited to see them. I haven't seen them much yet, but I'm I think that they'll be a great addition to the team.
No, I'm sure. I can't wait. So,
Hmm.
Nova Soccer Stars loves high school. Um, let me ask you a little bit about choosing Princeton. Now,
Hmm.
one of the greatest academic institutions in the world. Uh, how important was soccer in your choice of schools? Was it a combination of incredible academics and soccer, or were you always going to go to Princeton and it worked out that you can play soccer there?
Um, when I was really young, and I didn't think too much about um college soccer because I mainly watched like the women's national team, but at the time I was like, oh, Princeton's like a really cool school. And going into the recruiting process, I my list did um, have a lot of those high academic schools. But when I was looking, I knew that I wanted in the end to go to a school that had both great academics and also a team that is really competitive in the NCAA. And so I knew that Princeton was one of those schools where their team has done really well in the past years, and they're also such a great school. And I think that that was something that they had to offer for me. And so looking there, I was like, I really like Princeton.
So when you found out that they were interested in you, Coach Sean Driscoll, amazing coach, they've
Mhm.
had so much success there. It must have been exciting to you that they actually wanted you because it probably made your decision pretty easy.
Right. When they reached out to me, I was beyond happy. I think that that was one of my top schools or one of my top choices. And so, yeah, I think the decision was pretty easy for me after visiting their campus, which was beautiful. And so going there made me feel like home, I guess. I think that their campus is kind of like where I live, which is like it's kind of like a little town. So there are all sorts of little um, stores and like food around that made me feel like I was at home. And I think that was really important for me. I felt like that campus, like in the field is really nice.
Yeah.
It's a pretty new stadium, but I think going and actually seeing the place and meeting some of the players helped me make my decision.
Yeah. Did you go to a game? So last year I interviewed Emma Davis. Emma played at Princeton and then she did her graduate work at Georgetown. So she played at Georgetown her graduate year. And then
Hmm.
I interviewed her before they were going up to Princeton to play. Georgetown was, and she says it's an incredible environment at the women's soccer games. Did you go to a game at Princeton?
So I actually haven't been able to go to one of their games. I've kind of just been watching online. I probably will go to some this coming fall season. But yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah,
their games in person yet.
yeah. So, what do you want to What do you want to major in?
So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that I want to go in for computer science
Okay,
or maybe something engineering related.
yeah, that'll be nice and easy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You'll have plenty of time with all that soccer stuff. Um,
right.
yeah. So Anna, how serious are you about soccer? I mean, if you continue to progress, would you ever consider pursuing a professional career in soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be able to get as far as I can go. So if that means playing professionally, I that's something that I would want to do. I think that in these next few years, I just have to keep training and working hard and kind of just doing my thing so that I can get to that level. So hopefully I can do that in the next few years throughout my college career.
So what are some things that you'd want to improve on that you think could make you a better? I mean, obviously, we can all get better in almost every regard. But what are some things that
Mhm.
you can think of that you'd like to improve on?
I think that I've started to do more speed and strength training because going into college, I know that I'm playing against some players who could be 4 years older than me. So they're definitely they've spent these past college years getting stronger, faster. And so I think that speed and strength is something that I've wanted to get ahead on so that I can go into college and be able to compete like physically as well as technically and
Yeah.
tactically.
Yeah, I mean, you can never be too fast or too strong. But
Hmm.
physically, I think you're extremely athletic. But I think you have the right approach. I think you need to, you know, to get stronger, get faster. All that can do is, move your game even um,
Hmm.
that much further along. Well, you know, it's very exciting. To follow you next year. I can't wait to the season. Um, do you think you'll ever want to coach soccer as well like, one day, or do you think uh, coaching would not be for you?
Um, I I haven't really thought about coaching. I think that I've really just thought about being able to play and enjoy the sport, but if coaching is something that I thought that I would enjoy, I might pursue that. But as of right now, I don't see myself really going in that direction.
Yeah. Well, maybe you coach your kids one day or something.
Yeah.
If you decide to have kids, yeah. Uh, yeah. One thing I did want to ask you is, when I watched you play at Jefferson, you played a lot of positions as you mentioned earlier. Where
Mhm.
do you see your future? Are you like a 10 or a 9, or you see yourself on the wing?
So in the last 3 years, I think I've played almost every single position on the field, aside from center back and goalkeeper. So
Yeah.
at VDA, actually played. I've played everywhere. I've played 6, 10, 9. I've played out wide, and right now I'm actually playing outside back a little bit. Um, I think that going one thing that's been a big part of how I play is being able to play in different positions. And so I'm not 100% sure what position I'll play going into college, but I think my goal is to be able to play a lot and make a big impact on the team. So wherever my coach thinks that I can do that best in, that's where I'm going to play.
Yeah, well, that's the right attitude. Well,
Mhm.
look, Anna, you're a great player. Everyone loves to watch you play. Whenever I post anything about you, you always get so many positive comments. So I think people think you're a good person as well. So I just wish you the best luck. Best of luck. I can't wait till the season and then and being able to follow you beyond. But I really appreciate you doing this, and it was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And let's keep in touch and enjoy the school year.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Anna, you're welcome. Have a good night.